Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Inactive Listening.
That's right. If this is your first time, we are your hosts. I'm Logan.
And I'm Walter.
And today on the episode, we're going to be talking about music.
Music, baby.
That's right. One of our favorite things, one of our joys in life.
Truly one of my favorite things.
Yeah, it actually is.
Growing up, I always thought everybody listened to music the same way as I did. But it turns out like some people didn't always have the car radio on when they were in the car.
That's true.
I remember finding that out, and I was like, then what do you do if it's not listening to music with your family, you know?
You're listening to how the car drives.
Oh,
You're listening to the tires.
they're a gearhead.
Yes.
That's the explanation. Okay, that makes sense.
That is true, though. I think you definitely... Some people have an ear. That's definitely for sure.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't know.
some people just listen to music, and they're like, oh, this song's okay. Oh, this song's okay. And then there's, like, people who, you know, are having breakdowns because the song is so insane.
Yeah.
The song is
So powerful.
actually magical.
Yeah. I don't know if it's a like personal choice where they just don't want to explore that side of art, or if there is like truly something medically different. I don't know. Like maybe they can't hear it, but
It could be.
it could be. But I just think that whatever the case is, I'm so glad I've gone down the route I've gone down.
Absolutely.
And I've done so much work to explore the music I've explored.
Yeah. I like to collect records and CDs and cassettes because then it's like, you know what? I love this album so much.
Yeah.
I have it in physical form. I can hold it.
Right. And for me, I collect CDs just because I still drive a vehicle that has a CD player, so it's more convenient for me, at least. I haven't phased out physical mediums like that. But yeah, like it is really cool when you have a collection that's yours.
Absolutely,
and
yeah.
like you can flip through it, hear the clack of the plastic cases, and see like really gorgeous album art. I had been staring at the cover for Led Zeppelin 4, like, I don't know, since at least 7th grade. You know, I've seen that album artwork very, very frequently. I never knew what it was. I always thought it was like a weird window, but it wasn't until like I got the CD and held it in my hands that I realized it's like a house that's crumbling down, and there's like a farmer on the other side of it. He has like a bundle of sticks on his back. He's bending down. And honestly, I don't know what that really has to do with the album, because the songs are like not really about that. Maybe the Battle of Evermore. I don't know. But yeah, like that simple fact alone.
There's got to be something behind it. I don't know if you've researched it.
Usually there is. I have not.
Okay. I
found that sometimes it's better to leave up to your imagination. But
yeah, absolutely.
When I was in science class in high school, my chemistry teacher walked up to me, realized I was listening to Boston, and they have that famous album with like the UFOs.
Okay.
You know?
I think so. I don't listen much Boston. At
the very least, I and all my friends had referred to it as the one with the UFOs. It has Foreplay and Long Time on it. And he walked up and said, "You want to see something cool?" And I think it was on my computer, and he grabbed my computer and flipped it upside down. He was like, "What do you see?" And I was like, "No way," because they're not UFOs, they're guitars. Like they're flying guitars in space that are made to look like UFOs, but if you hold it upside down, you can like clearly see it. It was so cool. Such a cool moment.
Yeah, I think a lot of artists, especially like the very popular ones, they're more than just they make music. I think a lot of the older ones, especially.
Yeah.
They had a true artistic talent.
Yeah.
That's not to say Lil Nas X
or the modern artists of today don't.
Right.
There are plenty of amazing musicians nowadays that I really enjoy listening to. Like, I love listening to Kendrick Lamar. He's so talented.
Okay, yeah. Kanye.
I do indulge in some Kanye from time to time.
Yeah.
But I have a soft spot for like classic rock.
So do I.
And older music in general. Now, Logan, how old of music do you listen to?
Okay, so which I think a lot of people do. They listen to classical.
I wouldn't say a lot.
Really?
Yeah, I really thought when I went to college there'd be a lot of people who...
I think there's more than maybe even I realized.
Yeah. it's
it's not like everyone's
I mean a
walking around
lot
listening to like Mozart, but I
right.
think there's more people who listen to like it'll come on and they'll be like, oh yeah, I'll listen to this.
Yes, I think people are often shocked by how many classical songs they do know.
Yeah,
What
that is true.
because it's used in
Movies
film
and yes,
and yeah,
all sorts of stuff
yeah.
because it's so good.
It is so good.
But that's probably the oldest. Anything older is probably. We'll actually talk about it in just a minute.
Yeah. So how what is the oldest song that you think you know? And it doesn't have to be like the oldest recording because I think for me that'd be somewhere back in the 20s, 1920s. But
That's it.
like the oldest recording. But I mean
Okay.
like it was written down somewhere and you've heard someone perform it. Because obviously then that opens up classical music. But what like think way back. What's the furthest you think you've ever gone?
Of where it's been written down,
Mm-hmm.
probably biblical, like hymns.
Scriptures.
Yeah, because they used to sing
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
according to Scripture. That's why God made music was to praise Him.
Yeah.
So I think, and that was a while ago.
You think that was like circa like 1500 then?
It's right before that.
Because Bach wrote, I believe Bach is still the best-selling musical artist of all time
Really,
because he wrote like half of the Catholic Church's catalog.
really,
And so yeah, everyone uses his music.
I did not know that.
Yeah, my band director told me that. I was in Academic Fine Arts in high school, and in that team, it's a really great club because it exposes you to all this cool genres and art forms you never thought before. We learned about like madrigals and what's another one? Come on, I should be able to know at least two of these. I spent like a year studying them. Madrigals and dang, it was another word. M word starts. It means hymn.
There's masses.
Yeah, a mass was one of them. A motet. That was it. That was actually it. It was motet. And so I think those are like 1500. So I had to listen to a lot of those. A lot of
You'd be correct.
harpsichords, choral pieces, and I think there was one classical guitar piece I listened to. But yeah, very fascinating. Kind of boring, but it was very cool learning where it all came from.
Right.
And even before that, people were making music.
Oh,
I don't know. I had a buddy who sat next to me in English class, and he showed me like Mongolian throat singing, which is pretty cool. And I think it's pretty old too, but yeah, I never really sought out that kind of stuff. Have you?
No, not my cup of tea.
Yeah.
But it is interesting because I mean, I'm sure a lot of it was like really old, like tribal times.
Right. Yeah.
It probably for it'd rile people up, get them ready for war.
Right. Or like to celebrate
Or
a good hunt.
Yeah, yeah,
Or like a marriage,
yeah.
or a death. Like it was.
And I mean,
We still do those.
we still
things.
do. Yeah, we
Yeah.
still use music.
But it's probably a lot more. It carried a lot more weight back then, I would assume.
Yeah, I'd agree. Yeah.
Yeah. All they had basically was, what, drums?
Whatever.
I don't know.
I could see them having a
I don't
maraca.
Yeah, like probably a lot of percussion instruments. I would bet you they have some sort of wind instrument.
Probably no string instruments.
You don't think?
Like a banjo or like
Not a banjo, but I mean like the old violins were made using like sinew and tendons of animals.
I doubt.
So I don't know if the Americans had that.
If they were going to use that, I'm sure they'd use it to make some bows more than they'd make it. Which actually, I don't know.
Interesting. Yeah, I bet you a string. Ooh, we gotta fact check that. I wonder when a string instrument first popped up because I bet you it's around the time that bows were used. Whenever they first figured out how to string a bow, they probably figured out how to string an instrument. Because have you ever shot a bow before?
Mm-hmm.
Like it makes that little low vibrating
You
sound. Like
could
it makes a
easily, and
sound.
especially if you put a stick and you put some string really tight to it, and you're like, oh my, look at this. You're playing around with it, and you're hitting the string. Ooh, I kind of like that. Ooh, then there you go.
Mm-hmm.
And then when do you think it was actually developed? Like
Commercialized?
this string, a little bit deeper. This string, a little bit higher. This string, even higher yet.
You mean when did they first figure out notes?
Sure. Yeah.
I
And
don't
they're
know.
like, you know what? If we carve out a little hole in this piece of wood we have, even more.
That's what's crazy to me. In ceramics class, they used to do a project where you had to make your own ocarina.
Okay. There you go.
And I remember upperclassmen would come into band class with clay on their lips because they had been trying to find the right note and tune it. And obviously it's clay, right? So it's malleable and soft when you're working with it. But as time went on, it dried out. And then when they finally fire it, it shrinks down a lot because it's losing a lot of that water weight.
Mm-hmm.
So the pitch changes. So they kind of had to anticipate the instrument getting sharper.
Right.
So I don't know. I think there's a lot of guess and check for how they put the holes in there. But yeah, I mean, I played trombone so that I wouldn't have to worry about keys and fingerings because trombone's so easy.
Really?
It's a lot easier than people think. They give me too much credit.
That's the secret.
That's a secret, yeah. Play something that looks hard, but in actuality it's pretty easy. It's like shooting a free throw.
Interesting.
Your muscles just know where to put the notes after a while. You don't even think about it.
Walter plays the trombone.
Yep.
And whenever I did band, I was percussion.
Mm-hmm.
And then I quit band like 8th grade.
Loser.
And then I started playing guitar.
Ooh.
So I've been playing guitar
Take a
since freshman year.
Wow.
I did play a little bit of drums, and I have been playing piano since middle school.
What was the hardest one you've learned how to play?
Hardest what song?
Instrument.
I mean, probably guitar, because I've only got really 2. Percussion, I guess. Like mallets or whatever.
Yeah. You think piano is easier than guitar?
But definitely not. I wouldn't say easier. Guitar is hard, and to be insane at guitar, it takes a lot of time. To be really good at piano, it takes a lot of time.
Yeah.
I think they're very similar. They're very similar in my opinion. A lot of like playing a riff on a guitar, and I'm like, you know what, I want to play that on piano, and then it's not that much different. But honestly, piano might actually be harder because splitting both hands into separate, like sometimes completely separate things,
Yeah.
is much more challenging than, in my opinion, than the other. But at the same time, I don't know, because you got to build up like a lot of hand strength for guitar, and you have to stretch your fingers across like 5 frets at times, and then whenever speed comes in, I would like to know which one is faster, guitar or piano. Like the fastest piano player versus the fastest guitar player.
Yeah. Because I've seen some wicked crazy scales and solos on guitar.
People who play with 2 necks on the guitar.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
There's crazy stuff out there.
Yeah. Well, and like keyboards and pianists have the same thing though. Like I've seen crazy scales on piano, and like in rock concerts, sometimes you'll see the keyboardist with like 4 sets of keyboards with different tones and stuff, and they like hop between them, and it's crazy. They're stacked on top of each other.
There's a lot of talent that goes into instruments in general.
Yeah.
I don't know how familiar you would be, but the band Godsmack, like popular 90s, 2000s alternative band, the singer not only sings, which we can get into that, plays guitar and plays piano, which I've seen actually, and plays drums. He can play the drum set too, so he's pretty much he could play the whole band if he really wanted.
Yeah.
Which is pretty nuts. The drum set is very hard. I've tried to play that,
Yeah.
at least for me, because not only are you just separating into, like, you're not trying to perfectly hit notes, but now you have like 4 limbs that you're trying to
Right.
almost like barbarian hitting,
Yeah.
like full swinging kind
Yeah.
of. Not really.
We were talking about separating your hands from each other, but you've got to separate your hands and your feet
Yeah.
from each other in
And
a drum
that's-
set.
Yeah.
Very challenging.
Very,
So
very
much
challenging.
technique.
Speaking of drummer, I have a favorite drummer.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's from a band you guys may have heard it. It's called Slipknot.
Slipknot.
He actually just left. He just left or they kicked him out within like the last year.
Because he did something weird? Or because
They
he...
didn't They just said, we just decided to go separate ways. With
Citing creative differences.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly that.
Yep, the classic.
Jay Weinberg,
Mm.
the son of his father, who drummed for Bruce Springsteen.
Really?
Yes.
That's so cool.
And then Jay would go on to become a faster drummer than his dad. I'm not going to say more skillful,
Right.
but yeah, I thought that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I like him a lot.
Yeah.
Really, really good drummer. But there's a lot of really talented drummers.
Oh, yeah.
The Def Leppard drummer, one arm,
Yes.
that's insane.
Yes, that's crazy. Phil Collins of Genesis,
Yes.
and then later Phil Collins, was the lead singer, and he's the drummer. Like that's crazy to me.
Dave Grohl, the drummer.
Yeah, same. Because
Oh,
we
yeah,
talked before, separate your hand, your leg, right?
Right.
Now you're also separating your mouth.
I know. Yeah, it's
ridiculous.
like
And it's so cardio intensive as it is to drum because your whole body's keeping up a rhythm for minutes on end.
What do you think about
And now you're singing too, so you're limiting your air intake.
the people who have like the drum set on their back and they've got like a guitar and they've got the
one-man
harmonica?
band?
Yep.
I was honestly fascinated by one-man bands growing up.
Really?
There was this website that my mom had us all play because like it was one of those like family-friendly PBS Kids websites, and it was like you get to build your one-man band, and it was like a cheap flash clip art one-man band, but it was so cool, like with the cymbals between his knees,
Right.
and when he like stomps his heel, a bass drum hits, and when he stomps his toe, like a triangle rings. Yeah, that's so cool. John Philip Sousa, the famous Marine band or Army band conductor for the U.S. 1800s, the bass drum player was paid the most out of the whole band.
Really?
Yeah, because back then, especially for the military, you play a lot of marches, which have a very set tempo. So the bass drum was in charge of keeping that tempo. Also, in addition, back then, being a bass drum player also meant you were a cymbal player. Like you had both. So they were paid so highly because they were in charge of keeping the band on track. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Where'd you learn this?
I won't say his name, but I learned it from my middle school band teacher.
Okay.
Yeah, it was one of his favorite fun facts to tell, and it was so cool learning about that. Because, frankly, in middle school, the bass drums is reserved for the worst percussionists because it's the easiest one to play. So, yeah, I thought that was interesting. My favorite drummer is John Bonham, otherwise known as Bonzo, of Led Zeppelin. Also had a son, Jason Bonham, who wasn't as... I don't think he was as good as John Bonham was, but like that's cool to me that like they have that legacy. I think Led Zeppelin is the best classic rock band, like objectively.
Of all time?
I think it has to be. Like I love Steely Dan, but would you call that classic rock? I think you could subdivide that more into like smooth rock or yacht rock, you know. But
I don't...
what people think of as rock and roll nowadays, I feel like comes from Led Zeppelin. Everyone knows
I think
Led Zeppelin
a lot
songs.
of it. I think a lot of it. I haven't listened to a ton of Led Zeppelin.
And
But okay, AC/DC, that's what I think of. Classic rock is like Guns N' Roses. Welcome to the jungle. It's like in every movie, dude.
Okay,
Every single movie has
name,
like, oh my gosh. Deep Purple.
Name 3 Guns N' Roses songs. I say 3 because there's only 3 everyone knows.
Sweet Child of Mine.
Uh-huh.
I don't know. I don't listen to Guns N' Roses.
Welcome to the Jungle.
Yeah.
And maybe November Rain.
I don't like that song.
Neither do I. I hate that song. Also, I hate Sweet Child of Mine.
I don't like Guns N' Roses. I
Neither,
don't like
neither
them.
do I.
But that's what I think of classic rock.
Okay.
And
okay.
I
know. Okay, I get that. I get why you say that because like you recognize those songs. But if you listen to the Led Zeppelin discography, you will recognize many, many more songs. The only and
what
I'm
about
sure
Metallica?
I'm sure that's metal, bro.
No, what? What are you talking about?
That's
in the same era.
That's way closer to metal and like rock as opposed to classic rock.
More popular?
I'm trying to say that Led Zeppelin is the most characteristic of the classic rock sound. I think
I think whenever I listen to,
if you're talking about the best musician and musical acts to ever grace the earth, it's got to be the Beatles. Everything they did was gold, and they set the standard for music forever, like for years to come, including now, like the modern day. The Beatles, like chord progressions and the way they wrote songs, still is referenced.
Okay. Yeah, they're really good.
They're really
Were
good.
they the
Beatles.
Greatest?
Okay, what are we arguing now? The Beatles or Led Zeppelin?
The Beatles.
Okay.
Were they the greatest?
Yeah, I think so. I'll die on that hill.
Really?
I think those 4
I never could. I never can say that. I like the Beatles a lot.
Yeah.
A lot of their music is really good. It's in the same like era. It's in this like
a little bit early,
there are people
a little bit earlier than Led Zeppelin, but yeah.
There are people who play faster.
Uh-huh.
There are people who, in my opinion, have better rhythms, and I think the rhythms like, oh my gosh, that rhythm is insane.
I can cherry pick 20 other songs by random people who like holy crap.
Not just random people.
Crazy.
There's other bands that I think are just like this guy knows what he's doing.
Yeah, but
and the Beatles, it's like they're good, and I'm sure they did set a standard.
Mm-hmm.
But to say that they're the greatest because they set a standard, and people can't move greater than that, I don't know. Nobody can be greater than them because they set the standard.
Yeah, how many artists do you know had a successful world tour? I can think of 2.
Who?
The Beatles and Taylor Swift.
I don't know a ton of
like global,
tours.
like all around the world.
Probably Linkin Park. I would argue them.
Do you think they went to
India? A lot of people like them. I think they might have. We can research it right now.
Look it up.
Okay, we're gonna find out. Cause they were popular, man. And
Linkin Park?
Huh?
Linkin Park?
Yes. What? There are so many people who at least know a song of Linkin Park.
There are so many people who know at least 6 songs.
And then
Beatles.
there's like 60% of the world who love Linkin Park. And then the other 40% at least know, I would even argue a couple songs. Because they have like 10 that are like radio played.
I couldn't name you a Linkin Park song. If I heard it, I'm sure I would recognize it. But like off the top of my head, I've never thought about a song as like, oh, that's a good Linkin Park song.
Linkin Park currently goes to England.
Look up Linkin Park World Tour or Linkin Park India.
Okay. India?
Yeah, that's where the Beatles went, man.
Yeah, they had all this fame of the young girls.
Mm-hmm.
What about the Beach Boys?
I love the Beach Boys.
So do I. The tour visited 21 cities in South America and Europe.
Okay, that's still pretty cool. I don't know, man.
Let's ask Google. Who's the greatest band of all time?
Yeah. Okay, what do you honestly think it'll say? I think it'll say the Beatles. The greatest band of all time, it'll say the Beatles.
It's probably gonna give me a list. Oh my gosh. And who's at the top?
Yeah.
The Beatles.
The Beatles.
I don't know, man.
The Beatles.
The Rolling Stones are directly behind them.
See, I think that's crazy.
Why?
I think Led Zeppelin is way better than the Rolling Stones were.
Yeah, they were like newer. Even if the time wasn't that much off, I feel like Led Zeppelin was much more ahead than
Yeah.
Rolling Stones. But like, Paint It Black. Ever heard that song?
I have. It's the lyrics are grotesque.
Yeah, I think that song's amazing.
I think it's good too.
Very simple. U2 is the third, but this isn't in a ranking. This is just like the top.
Pull up
15.
Wikipedia. The most
Wikipedia.
like the best. They have a list. The best selling bands, like records sold.
Oh, I feel like I should know this.
It's the Beatles.
I don't want to believe that, but Michael Jackson's Thriller estimated to have sold 70 million.
Yeah, I believe that.
Michael Jackson was big too, man. Pink Floyd.
Okay, what's number one?
All right, here's what we got. Yeah, I guess it's the Beatles.
Oh, you guess it's the Beatles?
I guess.
By how
I mean,
much?
anyone can write this.
By how much?
Not that much more. I mean, they have two numbers here. They have 600 million, 500 million. Michael Jackson, 500 million, 400 million.
Is it so it's a range?
Elvis Presley, 500 million. I don't know if it's a range because Elvis Presley was on the dot. 500 million album. Then they stopped selling.
Is Led Zeppelin number 6?
I don't know if these are ranked. No.
Dang it.
Led Zeppelin is below Queen.
Really?
I could believe that.
Interesting.
And Queen is below Madonna. And Elton John is above Madonna.
Uh-huh.
Elton John is below Elvis, who is behind Michael Jackson, who is behind the Beatles. The Rolling Stones, though, have made the list. Let's see how many Taylor Swift has sold. She's a fresh one.
Yeah, I want to know where she's at right now.
There's probably people right now who are like, she's at 200 million. She's at 200 million. I know exactly.
Okay, well, when she's 80, I think she has a chance of
surpassing the Beatles.
I think so.
The Beatles have 40 years on her.
I know. So when she's 80, she might surpass them.
Like actually in age.
Yeah, well, because the Beatles are done. They've been done pumping out music for a long time, but like she still has a lot of relatable songs.
Who's still alive? I think there's only 2 or 1.
Ringo and Paul.
Okay, I will say, Paul McCartney is really good. I listen to a lot of Paul McCartney.
It's crazy. He was so successful in the Beatles, and then of the 4, he had by far the most successful solo run. And that, like him and the creation of Wings, is such a good story.
It is. The story?
Yeah, like,
I haven't heard of it.
because
The album was good.
The album was great, but he met his wife, who was an American photographer and journalist, who played the keyboard, and they started the band together. And it's like such a sweet story, and you can hear the songs where they both sing. It's like, I don't know, it's really lovely.
Taylor Swift is at 114 million. So get out there and buy
Really?
an album. Yeah.
A sixth of the way there. Let's get her to 600 milli.
That's what I'm saying.
That's what I'm saying.
Masayoshi Takanaka.
Ooh.
Such a name.
Ooh, the name brings me shudders. Masayoshi Takanaka.
Such a good artist.
Yeah.
If you haven't listened to... What other albums do you think? What would you recommend?
I would recommend... Ooh, okay. Would you recommend Rainbow Goblins first?
I would.
I think that's his best one.
Because the beginning of the first song on that album... Okay, it's only on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
So that makes it even more special. It was on Spotify. It actually was, but they're all like...
the listing is there, but you can't actually listen to the songs right now.
There might have been publishing issues.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it's on YouTube. I listened to the album twice today. Listen to the whole thing once. Listen to it again. That's what I do every day. It's my morning routine.
Mm-hmm.
First
45
song.
minutes.
Yes.
And all of it's gold.
It actually is. Entire album is really good. But there's other songs that I know of him, but I don't know them off the top
He
of my head.
made Brazilian Skies. That's the one of him skydiving and giving the thumbs up.
Oh yes. Oh, and then what's the
the
album with the birds?
So I know what you're talking about.
It has like O Tango on it.
Yeah, he made an album with the birds, and he made an album in front of the church, like the building.
Oh, good thing I pulled them up right now. Seychelles.
Named after the country.
Great album. 1976 or 75. Really good album. Actually has some of the like insane songs on there. Japanese, if you didn't catch on, Japanese artist.
Yeah.
And one of the greatest guitar players I'd say of all time.
Yeah. So fast and so innovative.
Mm-hmm.
I think with the dawn of the internet and YouTube, Japanese funk fusion has like finally begun to really. It's nowhere near mainstream, but it's kind of gotten into the pop culture of America, and I love it.
Why do you say that? Because I think you've showed me it, Peter has showed me it,
Mm-hmm.
Seth knows about it,
Mm-hmm.
and that's kind of...
I think a lot more people on the internet know about it.
Okay.
I mean, because it's only on YouTube, that album has like I think at least 1 million views, right?
I don't...
It's getting up there.
No, because it was uploaded by different
The people I met in college knew about it too.
Really?
Yeah, there were a lot. I was surprised by how many guys knew about Takanaka.
Okay.
Yes, to answer your question in a long-winded way, I would recommend Rainbow Goblins, because if you're looking for, especially like in the car, or you're going through your feels, if you sit down and listen to this thing all the way through, it makes me feel better. Like my soul is cleansed.
It is like an auditory just
experience.
It is. It truly is.
It's based off of a book of the same name, The Rainbow Goblins.
Yep.
By an Italian children's book author, and it tells the story of these 7 rainbow goblins that.
Well, don't spoil it now.
That look out for rainbows, or on the hunt for the rainbows to eat them, because they're like eating the colors. Each goblin is their own shade of the rainbow.
Mm-hmm.
And it just kind of details what happens and how the rainbow escapes them.
Mm-hmm.
And
and there is storytelling.
Yeah, it's full of childlike wonder.
Yeah.
And Takanaka employs a narrator to break up some of the songs,
mm-hmm.
and then uses his music to really convey the emotion behind
mm-hmm.
each event that happens in the book. It's really good. He made a sequel to it, because the same thing, the children's book author made a sequel. It's not that good. I think it's called The White Goblin.
Yeah.
It's fine. And then Primus, which is a...
that's okay. That's where I found this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I listened to Primus
a 90s
lot.
band?
Yeah.
Started in the 90s. They're still around.
They are a little bit older in the 90s, like early 90s.
Yeah. They have their own rendition of the Rainbow Goblins, and I don't like it. I think Takanaka's is just like...
Okay.
It can't be beat.
Listening to Primus, and then I hear it, I'm like, oh, I like this song. This is a good song. And then I find out what the actual one is. Completely push past Primus.
Yeah.
And I listen to this one. It is so much better. But if you don't know Primus,
yeah,
like they a really talented band.
Yes.
I
recognize that.
Really, really talented. But they are like whimsical, and a lot of their songs are they're funny.
Yeah, and
they're meant to.
They do voices a lot.
Yeah, he does.
They have a cover of "The Devil Went Down to Georgia," another amazing song. But I hate their cover, because instead of being cool and talking about the devil like this, they do voices and they do Billy's voice. Is it Billy?
I think so. I mean, that sounds correct. Les Claypool is the main.
I don't think they say his name.
Vocalist and bass guitar. he plays the bass guitar like a normal guitar, and it is really good.
Yeah.
But
I don't know why I said that. I don't think the kid in that song has a name.
Billy,
It's not Billy. I'm like combing through the lyrics in my head. Way behind, wouldn't make a deal.
oh no, there has to be a name.
Saw a film playing hot. The devil. He said, "Boy, let me tell you what." The boy said, "My name's Johnny, and it might be a sin." It's Johnny. Yeah, they do the voice for Johnny. So in the original song, it's boy said my. I can't even say it. The boy said, "My name's Johnny," but in the Primus version, it's the boy said, "My name's Johnny."
I think it's funny. It's funny.
Yeah,
They're not remaking it to be better.
Yeah, it adds to it in different ways. It's not what I come to the song for.
Which is fine.
What is your favorite song on the Rainbow Goblins?
I would say
By Takanaka.
I would say Rainbow Goblins. I like the first song a lot. Somebody
the prelude.
The very first song on the album. It's about 8 minutes, and there's a comment I read that was actually the guy said that he played it for his wife's wedding whenever she walked down the aisle, and it was the beginning part right until they're about to, like, the narrator comes in and he says something. They play that part, and it sounds like a Disney. I don't know. It's like an old Disney film.
Yeah, okay.
That's the way I can explain it.
You're right. I jumped to conclusions because old Disney is magical, but like it's better than what Disney pumps out now.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. It reminds me of old like 50s and 60s Disney.
Yeah, like Wonder.
Exactly.
Like that's it pairs with that emotion so well.
And then the narrator comes in. Great.
Who is English? He's speaking in English.
Yes.
Even though it's a Japanese album.
And then the insanity kicks in.
Yes.
Such a good rest of the song.
Yes.
But there's so many songs in the album that are like, they're all different and they all sound, they're gold.
Yeah. So one of the songs is called "The Storm."
Yes.
Because
dude, that is such a good.
Because in the book,
the thunderstorm,
rolls in.
Yeah.
And it sounds like a thunderstorm.
It's like bad and menacing and.
Yes. Yeah. Like you listen to it and you can feel like the wind tearing at you, and you can see like the evil looking clouds. It's so dark.
It's so, dude. It's so visual and it's really good. I fully recommend.
Not only that, but I think both the book and the album personifies these things. So it starts off and you can hear the storm coming in. It sounds really menacing, and then I guess what would be the chorus, I guess if it's just an instrumental version, it sounds more like smug. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
When the chorus hits and it's and the guitar is like putting a stank on it,
mm-hmm.
It sounds like the clouds are like, yeah, like we're the thunderclouds, you know, like we're here to mess stuff up. It sounds so cool. The album, I don't know if does it end with Plumed Bird?
No.
The second to last song is Plumed Bird.
Yeah.
And it's kind of celebratory and beautiful, and you can feel like this giant, beautiful bird soaring through the sky.
Yeah.
It's great.
I'm trying to find.
I
can't remember. I listened to it twice today, and I can't.
There's a live performance.
You can never come to this place.
Yes. That's also a great name for a song. There's a live performance on YouTube of Takanaka performing the Rainbow Goblins, and it's unfortunate because it's really washed out audio. Like I don't think it's an official upload, but
that's the thing. Being a Japanese artist, it just. There is a lot of... I listen to a lot on Spotify. A lot of music is there, but there's a lot that is not there. People have complained about it. And, like, I play guitar and I want to play this piece. It's not there. They don't have it. I can't learn how to play it. Like, there's a few renditions of people figuring it out. But it just adds... I think it sucks, but it adds to it that it's like... You can't just have it all the time.
Yeah.
You gotta, like, really seek it out to be able to find, I don't know, to be able to play the music myself.
Yeah. And it's hard. It's
hard.
Advanced.
It is very advanced.
In that live recording, he has, I think he was, like, probably late 30s, maybe mid 30s when we recorded that
Okay.
or went on tour for that song album. And he has that same like relaxed demeanor that all great guitarists have.
Yeah.
Where like what they're playing is very intensive on their fingers, and they use so many muscles, and their fingertips are worn from pressing on the strings and the wires, but they're so relaxed and they're so dexterous.
Mm-hmm.
Like he has very slim, nimble fingers, and he's dancing up and down the fretboard, and
like he's been doing it a long time.
his whole life. And his shoulders, like he's not tense. He's just like he's in his element.
Right. Exactly.
It's mastery at work. It's wonderful.
It is. A lot. Okay, staying on the same. Because I think that album, I think it was in the early 80s.
Yes, I
think it
believe
was like
so.
81 or something like that.
Maybe.
I don't remember. Steely Dan.
Mm-hmm. And they're nerds too.
Yeah,
They are full blown nerds. Steely Dan was formed by two friends out of college, in New York. And fun fact, Chevy Chase, the famous actor from SNL, played drums for Steely Dan when they were first starting out,
really.
and then he quit to pursue acting, and good for him because that
What
worked out very well.
No, that was a loss.
Yeah, there's two great documentary snippets of Steely Dan on YouTube. I love watching them.
I didn't know that. I should watch it then.
Really good. It talks about how they get their songs made, like the nitty gritty, because a lot of artists start out making music because they like performing. So I think the main drive for them is performing live, and like the albums is their first run, and they get their name out there and they get in people's heads, right?
Mm-hmm.
Steely Dan has gone on record saying that they like doing the studio a lot more. Like they meticulously engineer every one of their songs to be exactly how they want it. You listen to their music and you're like, okay, two guys, what happened to the rest of the band, right? Because it's Donald Fagen and Walter Becker, bassist and keyboardist among other things. They hire exclusively studio musicians. Like you hire backing tracks and a percussionist for one song and a vocalist for one song, and then you swap them out. And like they'll go through multiple of these musicians to get the exact sound they want.
Really?
Yeah. They are nerds. Donald Fagen, the lead singer, expressed how he had such stage fright when he was first starting out. Reeling in the Years, probably one of the more famous songs.
Definitely, yeah.
Donald Fagen didn't sing that. That was back when he was too shy to sing that, so they got a vocalist to do it.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
It sounds very similar.
Yeah.
I don't know. They're definitely one of my favorites.
Yeah, I mean, Kanye sampled
Yes.
Kid Charlemagne.
MF Doom.
Yep. A very heavily sampled band. Steely Dan is used in a lot of modern rap and R&B.
Which is crazy. Which, I don't listen to that much rap. But if I were to, it would probably be like MF Doom or Kanye. Maybe even Kendrick.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know about Kendrick Lamar, but Kanye and MF Doom sample Steely Dan. And they sample a lot of like, I don't know if that's just who they are. That's just how they make music. But they sample a lot of the music that I already like, which is interesting. Yeah, I listen to Steely Dan a lot. And my mom hates it.
Really?
My mom does not like Steely Dan. She does not like 70s music. Which is understandable.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't.
Yeah, it is, but Steely Dan sounds so different than the other bands of the time.
Whenever I think of the 70s, I think of Steely Dan. Or I think of the Bee Gees. I don't think of Led Zeppelin.
Those are like two extremes.
It is. And I think of like, actually like a disco. Or I think of, I don't know why, but I think of Steely Dan. I think of like, that's what the 70s was. And it must have been awesome.
We played some of their songs in the locker room during swim.
Yes.
And
I think that snowballed me getting more and more into
I don't
them.
know. Yeah, I don't know how many swimmers actually took on to that, but I enjoyed it. You know,
Absolutely.
I
The
love
music,
rocking out to those songs.
the music that Walter and Peter would play were definitely very much different than what a lot of other people would play. A lot of people would play like rap.
Yeah,
They'd either play a funny song.
right.
They'd play.
You know, Miles. Yeah.
They'd play Kanye or
Yep.
whatever else.
It's not bad.
Yeah, it's fine.
It's good. I had a lot of great memories like that. Freshman year, that was the Mobamba versus Sicko Mode year.
Yeah.
And we've listened to those two songs a lot in the locker room, and it was a lot of fun. I got hyped up. But there are other ways to get hyped up.
Yeah.
And when
your guys' music was such an extreme to me.
Really?
I listened to a very specific area.
Uh-huh.
I listened to a lot of early 2000s like rock. Like I listened to a lot of Linkin Park and Breaking Benjamin. And before that it was like Slipknot, and then before that it was like System of a Down. I just reigned there.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually didn't listen to a lot of, because the 70s that I knew was like Journey or like Foreigner or Led Zeppelin. And out of those three, I liked Led Zeppelin the most. I don't listen to a ton of Metallica, but that was 70s. And then you and Peter had like so many songs and artists that were like Japanese or completely unheard of.
Mm-hmm.
Like that, there's like an Albert guy. I think it's Italian.
Albert?
I think.
Italian.
There's an album that...
That's Amore?
I don't know. No, not that song.
Not
no,
that song. Okay.
No.
That's Dean Martin.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Albert, and he's Italian?
I don't know. That's
Albert the Italian.
Alberto. I don't know what...
Well, we played Herbie Hancock. We played video game music and soundtracks. We played rap songs. We played Crazy by Gnarls Barkley. That went over well. Yeah, I mean...
Peter would know.
Japanese artists, too.
Yeah, but anyway, there was a lot that was like... A lot of it was like no lyrics.
A lot of instrumentals.
And it's like, this is insane. This is incredibly talented.
Yeah.
And I've never... It's not mainstreamed.
Yeah. It'll never be mainstreamed. When I was going to North Carolina, and it was my turn with the aux, I played Freeway Jam by Jeff Beck.
Don't know that song.
And it's instrumental, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're on a road trip, 9-hour road trip. We're on the freeway, right? Like, this is what this song was written for. It feels like you're in a car going on a trip. Like, it's one of those type of songs. No words, though. And I played it. We got like 2 minutes in. I think it's like 6 minutes long. 2 minutes in. And they're like, are there words to this? I was like, no, it's just instrumental. No. Give the aux someone else. You lose aux privileges.
Really?
And I was like, no. I mean, they were joking. I played more songs, but yeah. Like, they
weren't into it.
They didn't even finish it. No. Because for that, I mean, I'm not going to tell them they're wrong.
Right.
Like, if that, for them, that wasn't, I don't know, road tripping songs. They listen to rap music, or the driver at the time listened to rap music all the time, right?
See, yeah.
But like, you're with your boys going to North Carolina. You've never been there before, never done anything like this before. Maybe you try to experience some new music, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, challenge yourself. And I think they would have found they liked it a lot. It's a vibe. It's just a good, like, I'm here driving in my car.
The music that you guys introduced is, yes, there's very little to no lyrics.
Yeah.
And it's like 1,000% talent. Like,
yeah.
This guy is insanely good at what he's playing.
Some people,
Some people don't like that. Some people like...
I was not always involved or interested in this type of music, right? In middle school, I hated it. I didn't understand why people listened to music and talked about how good the musician was. To me, that was really weird.
Really?
Because, like, I liked Van Halen songs at the time. I still do. But I didn't like picturing a sweaty, hairy, drugged up man playing guitar. I didn't see the appeal to that. And it's because what I didn't understand is that people don't see a sweaty, hairy, drugged up man playing guitar.
Mm-hmm.
They see a person, a human being, expressing themselves in one of the most raw and pure ways possible.
Mm-hmm.
And they have a gift to communicate that feeling really well. For Van Halen to happen to be Eddie Van Halen. And now, of course, I love Eddie Van Halen. He's an incredible musician. But I just think that's the holdup. Like, some people want their music to be their own,
Mm-hmm.
which is fine. And they don't like recognizing that it came from somebody else. Does that make sense?
Okay.
That's what I think. I think people who what do you think about that statement?
Like, it makes me think of people in the industry now, though, that copy,
Yeah.
and then like, oh,
Right.
I made this song, and then you could like pull up two very similar,
Yeah.
but that's between artists.
Yeah. If I may, let me modify what I said.
Sure.
Because nowadays, we'll take Swifties for example.
The hive mind.
Yeah. The Swifties that I've met kind of give me the vibe that like they put her on a pedestal. You know?
It could
Like she's like how could she speak so deeply to me? You know?
That's probably how they felt about the Beatles and how they felt
Yeah.
about Elvis Presley.
Yeah.
though.
I think you're right. I think yeah.
Which I don't,
It's not
because girls really liked the Beatles, and then they also really liked
yeah,
Elvis.
everybody likes everybody, I think.
But I don't. I think it's a different type of like though,
Yeah.
because like
It's important to not
girls
be,
would rave about Elvis Presley.
yeah.
I don't think boys raved about. I mean, this is I think the extent of our raving about Steely Dan or Masayoshi. That I think it'll. Like I wouldn't say that we don't like him that much because we're not one with them. You know what I mean? It's just different, I guess.
Yeah.
Harry Styles. Oh,
I think
tickled the spine there.
I think a lot of things. Oh. I think a lot of things, most of which is probably just like not correct. But you can either listen to music and treat it as though it's your thing, listen to music and treat it as though it's the artist's thing, or you can listen to music and appreciate what the artist is saying and take it as your own, right?
Okay, sure.
I think there's two extremes and a happy medium.
Okay, I'm gonna add on to that because a lot of time, and this is also from experience, that you're listening to music and then that's where you get like you're going through something traumatic or you're going through something exciting, and then you can listen to that song 5 years later and you can pull up that exact same memory and you're like, dude, because okay, I took a shower the other day and I just told you this, but I took a shower the other day and I turned on the music that we played in the shower and it made me feel like I was in the locker room again.
Yeah.
And it was like it a great feeling. There were, especially right after swim season, I would play those songs and I would actually, my back would feel hot. Like it would feel like I was in the shower.
Yeah.
Because we listened to it every day in the shower.
Yeah.
So making it your own in that context would be like, I don't know, Watermelon Man.
Right.
That's swim for me.
Yeah. And I do not think about Herbie Hancock at all when I play that song.
Exactly.
Because for me, that song is all mine.
Exactly.
And
I don't think that's wrong.
And I share it with you guys.
Yeah.
And I love sharing it with you guys. But like that song, I own that song for me, right?
Sure. Yes.
Yeah. And also for me, when I listen to Taylor Swift, I let her own that song, right? Like I don't really take ownership of any of her songs because I don't relate to them that well.
Right.
A lot of what she sings about doesn't pertain to me really.
Have you listened to the lyrics?
I haven't. I think they're pretty simple most of the time, but that's for another time. Um, Whereas like I think Pink Floyd and Dark Side of the Moon is what I was talking about with the happy medium, because I really think I feel the pain that Roger Waters and the rest of the bandmates, David Gilmour, are going through when they wrote that and when they perform it, right? But also it's so intrinsic to me. Like I hear what they say and I'm like, wow, I just went through that, or I'm still going through that. So I like share that song with the artist and myself, you know? Like
Do you feel
I
that
let them take me through it.
because they're bigger?
I like more successful? No.
Really? Because if the only song you know is Watermelon Man,
Mm-hmm.
you're not gonna care about him.
Yeah.
Because if I listen to Watermelon Man, I'm not thinking of the intense skill that he has or the meaning behind the song because
Yeah.
I don't know the meaning of anything else that he has made.
Yeah.
But like Pink Floyd, I can listen to like 10 songs and be just listen. It's so like you can feel the emotion through
Yeah.
each different song.
Yeah.
So then, and then it's also a good song. So then I
Yeah.
relate it to myself.
Yeah.
But there was like a legendary craftsman that made this song.
Yeah. Let me think, because yeah, I think you're right. I think for most one-hit wonders, I take ownership of those songs. You know.
So is there any bands
Is there anybody
that you take ownership of a song
Uh huh.
and then you leave the rest for them? Like they have other.
You mean like, do I ever split the difference like I do with Pink Floyd with a smaller band?
With a bigger band, like you have, there is a bigger like Pink Floyd, and like this is my song,
Mm-hmm.
and then other songs are not my song of this band.
Oh, okay. Yes, you're right. Because Pink Floyd, I always split the difference.
Okay.
I kind of let them. I'm aware that they like made the song,
So it's like a
and I treat them as like a guiding force for me.
exactly,
Where like
which is
they're
so
they're
weird.
helping me navigate.
I think of
something.
like they're experienced, like they're like an elder almost.
Mhm.
So they're helping me.
Which is extraordinary because they were like 20, like 21, 23 when they wrote and produced Dark Side of the Moon. They were so young. And it's like anybody can relate to that album.
That's true.
It's mastery at its finest. I
See, I don't know though, because whenever I start listening to enough, like MF Doom, for example, the first couple songs I listened to him, like they were insane, and I loved, and like these were almost my songs. And then as I listened more and more, and I liked more and more, it's almost like I gave the songs back to him. I was like, okay, this entire collection is really good, and I just like the band as a whole now. So I don't know if I like them. If I actually dig into a band, I think I give back. But I will say, for Foo Fighters,
yeah.
the song Everlong is, for whatever reason, one of my favorites. I can play it on guitar. I really like the melancholy kind of tone. And I definitely take that song. And there's a lot of other Foo Fighters songs though, but that I don't. They're a good band. They're a really good band. They're really talented live, incredible band. But I don't love all of their music.
Yeah.
But Everlong specifically is one of my favorite songs. So I guess that Pantera has a song called Floods. And if you didn't know, Pantera is in the top 4 thrashers. They were in the big 4, I think. There was Slayer, Anthrax, and I think Megadeth, and no, maybe Pantera was not. Anyway, they have a song called Floods, and it's very, very different than what they play normally. It's very melancholy. It's very dark.
Yeah.
And I love that song.
Yeah.
And I guess I take that as my own.
So, with a more heavier song like what Pantera normally performs, or more of traditional metal, is that a song you take ownership of? Like a really strong, anger and
Like in general,
yeah.
I guess it depends though. I would say for possibly some Slipknot songs that
Hmm.
would be the case because whenever I used to listen to Slipknot a lot, um, it was just a different time, I guess, for me.
Yeah.
Pantera, like I'm not aggressively angry all the time,
Hmm.
but for whatever reason, this melancholy, dark song, I just like so much more.
Yeah.
It's weird though. I don't know.
It whenever an artist has that depth,
It's an
t-
emotional
it
depth
it
for
makes you
sure.
appreciate it more too. And I
Absolutely.
think that depth brings me back closer to the happy medium.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah, because
there's a
I
band.
think there's like not everyone gets that depth.
Yeah, and that's why
So I think it's
when you
like
find it, it's really special. There's a band called Talking Heads.
yeah.
One of my favorites for sentimental reasons. I listen to it a lot with my dad, and I can recognize their more goofy and weird songs, but my favorite album of theirs is called Speaking in Tongues. Fire name for an album, by the way. Really good, and the whole thing's great. Like there's only one song I skip, and it's because it's overplayed. Like the
Oh,
whole album is wonderful,
okay.
and it's like it's kind of it starts driving like driving force, then gets more wacky and weird as it goes along, and the last song is the only love song David Byrne, the lead singer, ever wrote. uh it's called This Must Be the Place, and for the recording of it all of the bandmates switched instruments.
Really?
So the keyboardist, I don't know what exactly, but let's say for example the keyboardist played drums and the singer played keyboard, etc. That's really cool. They're obviously talented. They can do that, right?
Hmm.
And when you listen to the song, you can kind of hear it coming through, where it's like almost inexperience, in like the melodies and how the tune is carried.
Hmm.
And what's the coolest part about it is that the lyrics are full of non sequiturs, which means that one phrase has nothing to do with another phrase.
Really?
Yeah, it's
That's powerful.
it's very powerful because it leaves you to fill in the gaps, you know? uh the song starts and it says, home is where I want to be, pick me up and turn me round, I feel numb, born with a weak heart, I guess I must be having fun. At face value, like what does that mean? Like what did I just say? Honest to God, what did I just say? That doesn't make any sense. Home is where I want to be, sure. Pick me up and turn me round. Okay. I feel numb, born with a weak heart. Okay. I guess I must be having fun. Like, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
None of these lyrics transition into the other one. And so they all have the same subject of like, I guess being home, or that it's kind of like a lovey-dovey song, but like they don't connect that well. Uh, home is where I want to be, but I guess I'm already there. I come home, she lifted up her wings. I guess that this must be the place. The delivery of the lyrics is like somberly, and really sweet and delicate.
Hmm.
We got on this tangent because I was talking about like artists of depth, right?
Right.
So similar to how I think comedians make the best drama actors, I think that's one of the most beautiful love songs I've ever heard in my life, because it's just this wacky, whimsical album. One of the songs in the album is called "Slippery People." Like it's weird, and then you get to this last song that closes it out, and it's a really incredible experience.
Interesting. That's there. There's. I found a few songs that they end. Not even necessarily end, but they have a very like the whole album is kind of this way, and then the one song on it completely different, completely slower. One of my favorite bands and favorite bands to see live because they're incredible. Avenged Sevenfold. They have a new album. Sorry, they have a new album. It's actually not even that new. It's 2023. There's a lot of it because he's getting older. The main singer, Matt, is getting older. And people are questioning, like, can he still sing? Can he really still sing? Because if you don't know them, a lot heavier of a band. They were like 2000s to 2010. A lot of screaming, a lot of yelling, and stuff like that.
And bands who are not that heavy, as they get older, still can't hit the high notes.
Right.
There are plenty of recordings by bands I like at a concert live later in their career, where they have to drop it down an octave, and it sucks. Like it doesn't sound good. So it's a real concern.
Okay, yeah. And then he released this entire album, and I would say is the best album they've ever made. It is so good. It is like melodies are insane. There's time changes all the time. There's so many different instruments. It sounds a lot like Rainbow Goblins in the aspect of you're going on a trip.
Mm-hmm.
It's incredible. It's very hard to explain. There's a lot it's fast paced. Things are heavy. Things are moving, and then it completely slows down. He's in a happy place, and he's singing a lot lighter. The melody's really there, and then there's times where the entire an orchestra is backing them, and they're moving through, and then it's rising to a peak. It's rising. It's getting to this note, and then it completely cuts, and there's just a piano playing, and that's dead. That's it.
Yeah.
Their last song on this album is called "Life Is But a Dream." Very, very good song. Fully piano. It was written by, I believe, by the lead singer for one of the band members' sons.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't going to be released, but I haven't researched it that much. They did end up releasing it onto the album, and it's just such it's a drastic change in the album. It's one of my favorite, might be my favorite song on the album, and it's fully piano, nothing else. It's just, I don't know, it's strange. It's very strange. The delivery of it is very weird. But I don't know. It's very interesting to me. But there's been a couple that I found I can't remember what album exactly. It's a Pink Floyd album. It's not a super popular one. But it's called Love Scene. It's Love Scene Take 1, and then it's Zabriskie Point.
Yes, you had shared that in the group chat. I listened to it, and I was flabbergasted. I would not have thought that was Pink Floyd.
Piano.
If you would have asked me who made that, Pink Floyd would have been on the bottom of my list.
Yeah, very unusual, but I thought it was amazing. And I don't know why. Because I can hear piano players, and I'm like, wow, that sounds amazing. And then I hear them, and I'm like, I wouldn't even have to know the artist. I'd be like, this is so good. What?
It's
such a strange. They obviously have piano. They play with piano, but
I mean, it does hit different.
It does.
Yes, I cannot deny the skillmanship that went into that, performing that, right? But I think that goes back to what we're talking about. Pink Floyd has the depth.
Exactly. I don't does it just? I can't even say does it come with time, because Dark Side of the Moon shows that they're not in the game for that long.
That's okay. Interesting. So what do you know about Pink Floyd?
I don't know a ton. I don't know as much as you do. Okay, they say everyone is going to get into their Pink Floyd phase. Mm-hmm. Have you heard that?
Yeah.
I got into that a while ago, and it wasn't much. I listened to The Dark Side of the Moon, and then I was like, oh, this is a really good album. And then I listened to something else. And then recently I've come back to it and listened to outside of that.
Right.
And I was like, man, this is really good. Like, okay, the song that you played the other
Saint
day,
Tropez.
really, really good song. Unique, completely. It's strange, but it's good. I don't know why.
Yeah.
They don't have to play the same stuff that they always play, and
Right.
it's still really good.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like, do they go down to the store and buy the emotional depth, or where, like, it just,
Where can I get some?
it's just there. And
Yeah.
some bands, today on the way to work, we were listening to Ozzy Osbourne,
Mm-hmm.
from Black Sabbath, and then to his own stuff.
Yeah.
And a lot of his more recent stuff it's really good, and you wouldn't expect. But I don't know. It's just, it sounds. He's got like menacing, deeper songs, and a lot of them are a lot slower.
Yeah.
I don't know. There are some bands that just have the depth that I guess others will never have or won't have.
I'll shorten it, I guess, but if any listener is interested, I really recommend looking up the story of Pink Floyd. But Dark Side of the Moon was performed with 4 members in the band. The singer, guitarist, bassist, and singer, guitarist, pianist, bassist, and drummer. They used to have 5 members in the band, and they produced a couple albums before Dark Side. And if you listen to those, they're really weird. Like, they're different, because the 5th member was the lead singer and a songwriter, and he wrote all the songs. It was crazy, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't like those songs really, but they're cool to look back at. That lead singer, long story short, was addicted to drugs and quit the band, and blah blah blah. He left, right?
Mm-hmm.
So all of a sudden, they were on their own without their main guy, and that's when Roger Waters picked up the slack and wrote Dark Side of the Moon. So seeing your best friend go through something as harrowing as addiction and losing, I think that contributed to a lot of the emotional maturity that they had.
It could be it.
I think,
And then writing one of the greatest albums to exist.
yeah, I think they just grew up really fast in that time period.
That's interesting.
After Dark Side of the Moon, they would eventually write Wish You Were Here.
Mm-hmm.
And that album is about that 5th band member. Great album. Very short. I think it only has 6 songs.
I can check.
And that's because Shine On You Crazy Diamond has 15 parts. Or maybe 10 parts? I don't know. It has a lot of parts.
5 songs.
5 songs. Yeah.
44 minutes.
Yep. And I like all those songs.
Really?
Different reason. Oh, it's a lot more sad of an album. That album is a lot more personal, and I let them have that album a lot more. I don't really take ownership of that one, but I still really enjoy it.
Speaking on a note like that, the song that I referenced earlier by Pantera, Floods, it's the album. The rest of the album there's like another song on there that's good that I like. A lot of it is very thrashy. It's very fast and raunchy. That's not really my type of music.
Yeah.
I like Pantera, and they're a very respectable band because I got to see them live too. There are 2 guitar solos in Floods, and they're really slow, and I feel like they have a lot of emotion to them. There's like a normal guitar solo, and then there's a really slow ending solo at the very end of the song where it's just the guitar, and then the song ends. And whenever they wrote that album, they had all their members, because they had a guitarist, Dimebag Darrell, that was shot and killed at a bar.
Dang.
Like 10 or 20 years ago. It might have been like 2010 or 2005. I don't know. It was a while ago. It was before I was listening to them. They still like mourn because he was like a lot of the band. So before they even came out and everything on the screen, because they were like one of the big bands, so everyone was there at the end of the night, and then they closed. They had like all these videos of them messing around as younger kids with Dimebag Darrell too. And then that song I just thought was really... it's so weird because I felt like it was very much attributed to him, even though he wrote it.
Yeah.
Which is weird because he was the lead guitarist at that time. He played the solos, and then whenever there other guitarists that came on, and then it was just him in the front, and like the spotlight was on him. He didn't like jump around. He didn't do any it was like a sad song.
Yeah.
Played for Dimebag Darrell. And I don't know. It's weird.
In a good way, though.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's one of my favorite songs. Very much slower, but I've noticed more that I've listened to a lot more slower songs, a lot more piano songs, which I always kind of have, but I don't know. There's different diversions, I guess. But I like Pink Floyd a lot. They're, in my opinion, they feel slower to me than what I normally listen to. But they bring a lot in skill, and they bring a lot in emotion. And I think that's what makes incredible music, is like the emotion behind it, I think. Which sounds corny. Like, oh, the emotion is what makes a song so good. But I think it truly is. Like, yeah, whenever you have a song that is definitely different or unique or whatever, it's not what you normally do.
Mm-hmm.
But you're a band like Pink Floyd or something like that, then
yeah,
that adds so much more value to the song.
Yeah. I agree.
But I don't know. It's interesting. Something to think about.
Something I think about often.
Walter.
Yeah.
It's your time.
It's my time?
Yeah.
Are we going to transition from a death in a band to the wacky end card segment?
Yes, we are.
Okay. Introduce me then, baby.
We will now be switching into Walter's whimsical, wonderful wonderland of fun facts.
Yippee! Thanks, Logan.
Yeah, no problem.
You guys are now in the fun fact segment. Did you know that on Mars, the sky is red and the sunsets are blue?
Mm-hmm.
This is because on Earth, the atmospheric makeup and the particulate in the air lets light pass through the atmosphere and kind of get spread out at the sunset, at the horizon. Mars is different. It's a very low pressure system with lots of carbon in the air, and the atomic makeup of carbon means that it diffuses light differently. So it's reversed. The light is way more direct from the sun and disperses in the atmosphere, leading to the red skies and blue sun.
Mm. Speaking of splitting color, Dark Side of the Moon album
Album cover? Yeah.
If you guys don't know, it's a triangle, and it has like
It's
beam
a pyramid.
of white pyramid.
Yeah, a prism. Light prism.
Is it?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Like those
is the actual album?
Those things are called prisms.
Well, yeah. But is the actual album a three-dimensional?
Well, no.
Okay, so it's a triangle. So I'm right.
Okay.
And it splits into like a rainbow behind it. It's a prism.
Yeah.
But rainbow goblins.
It's all coming back together.
That's right. Thank you guys for joining us.
Through the acid trip that was this episode.
Yeah,
we really appreciate all listeners out there. Make sure to comment on either down below on the YouTube video or reach out to us through email to let us know what we could be doing differently.
Yeah, there's still a lot I wish we would have. But there's so much music. There's so much to talk about.
Yeah.
All right, well, thank you guys for joining us. And we will see you guys in the next one.
See you guys.